All right, so today we're going to be tackling the wild world of Swimrun.
Wild world.
Yeah, through this really fascinating interview with Sabina and Alexis.
A power couple.
They are a total power couple in the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, just reading through their answers, I was like, this is amazing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But also, like,
Really hard to follow.
hard to follow
If you're not.
if you don't know the sport already.
Yeah,
So that's where we come in.
absolutely.
So we're going to be, like, breaking down their training routines,
Yeah.
talking about how they make it work.
Being partners and competitors
Exactly.
at the same time.
And also what they think the future of Swimrun is going to look like.
It's a pretty cool dynamic.
It is.
They're so accomplished.
They are.
But also, they share this passion,
Yeah.
for each other.
But we're a sport, yeah.
And for the sport.
Okay, so let's get started with, like, the basics.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Right.
And how did they even get into this whole swimrun thing? So from the interview, we know that Sabina's 31, Alexis is turning 29.
29. Yep.
And they're both based in Switzerland.
Which one?
But their athletic backgrounds are, like, completely different.
Total opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, totally.
Sabina's got a background in gymnastics.
Gymnastics.
Which I think is so cool because it really shows that you don't
You don't have to be
have to be a swimmer
a swimmer or a runner
to be good at swimrun.
to be amazing at swimrun.
It's more about that athleticism
Yeah, right.
and the mental toughness.
Totally, because, like, gymnastics is all about, like,
Discipline.
discipline. Yeah.
And, like pushing your limits.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you've got Alexis, who comes from like a pure swimming background.
Right.
So it's interesting because it was a family thing for him.
Yeah, yeah.
He started swimrun with his dad back in 2017.
That's so cool.
I know.
A father-son
Duo. Yeah.
But here's the thing that I found really fascinating. He also has a job as a textile engineer.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you at all?
Not really when you think about how swimrun is still kind of a niche sport.
Okay, so it's not like
It's not like tennis,
tennis or golf.
where people are making millions
Right, yeah.
from sponsorships.
So are you saying that even if you win the world championships, like, you can't just quit your job,
That's a good question.
right?
Maybe it's not even about quitting the job.
Okay.
Maybe it's more about like,
The passion.
yeah, balancing things.
Okay.
Maybe the engineering feeds into his athletic drive somehow.
I mean, they both competed at the 2024 World Championships
And who do it?
in Uttila, Sweden.
Which is like
The big one.
the ultimate swim run race.
Yeah.
It's where everyone wants to go.
But they didn't actually compete together as partners.
No, they didn't.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But first, I wanted to talk about Alexis's 2023 season.
Oh, yeah. That was rough.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
He had some injuries.
And I think maybe some, like, lingering stuff from the COVID vaccine,
Yeah, potentially.
which must have been so frustrating
Oh.
for him. But then he comes back in 2024,
Yeah.
wins Uttila with his partner, Mathieu.
It's amazing.
What do you think were some of the key factors that made that comeback possible?
Well, he was incredibly methodical in his approach.
Okay.
Like his planning was meticulous.
Okay.
Really prioritized recovery.
Right.
And he just honed in on like every single weakness.
Wow.
Even in the interview, he talked about doing physiotherapy
Yeah, for elbow.
for his elbow for ages
Oh, wow.
and spending hours in the pool regaining flexibility.
Oh, wow.
It just shows the grit and determination that you need
Yeah.
to be at that level.
Totally. It's like he used those setbacks as fuel.
Absolutely.
What about Sabina? How did she approach the World Championships?
So she was really strategic with her race selection
Okay.
throughout the year.
Okay.
She used some races as like training runs
Oh, interesting.
so that she would peak
At just the right time.
at just the right time for Attilo.
Smart.
And she teamed up with Desiree Anderson, who is another amazing swim runner.
Yeah.
And they already had like this great rapport.
Oh, that's important.
And they knew each other's racing styles,
Right.
which is super important.
In a sport where you're literally tied together.
You're literally tied together.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped them get a strong finish.
Especially given how challenging the conditions were that year.
Oh, they were tough.
Yeah.
This whole teamwork thing.
It's fascinating to me.
I know.
Especially because they train together a lot.
Right.
Even though they're competing with different partners.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, how do they balance, like, their individual needs with a shared life and training schedule?
Well, it all comes down to communication.
Okay.
They're really honest about the challenges
Of training as a couple.
of training as a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
And they've even admitted to being very direct with each other.
Which can be tough.
It can be tough.
But they have this rule where they leave all the race frustrations
On the course,
on the course. Yeah.
which I think is key.
So smart.
I know, so they can come back home
And just be a couple.
and just be supportive.
I love that.
It's like having these separate compartments in their lives.
Yeah, you have to be so self-aware
Yeah.
to make that work.
It's a good reminder that even elite athletes,
And they're human
they're human.
at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And they have relationship struggles just like everyone else.
for sure.
And learning how to deal with that probably makes them even stronger.
As athletes and as a couple.
Exactly.
There's this one part of the interview that really confused me, though.
Oh, yeah.
So Sabina, she decides to race with Victor Tourenque
Yeah.
in this post-championship race in Hydra, Greece.
Beautiful place.
It is gorgeous
Yeah.
while Alexis is taking a break.
Yeah.
And it made me think about this whole partner switching thing.
Right.
Why do you think they're so open to it?
It all boils down to growth mindset.
Eh?
They see it as a chance to learn from new people,
Right.
try different racing
Yes.
styles,
Okay.
and challenge themselves.
So they're not getting complacent.
Exactly. Keeps
Yeah.
things fresh and exciting.
Totally. And it makes them more well-rounded.
Absolutely.
So they're like cross-training within their own sport.
I love that.
Right.
It's a great way to put it.
It is.
Cross-training within your own sport.
Yeah.
That's swim run for you.
And remember what Sabina said about stepping out of Alexis's shadow
Oh, yeah.
and gaining confidence
In her own abilities.
in her own abilities?
That was a powerful statement.
It was.
It really shows how much they trust each other.
Yeah, and that they want to support each other's individual growth.
Yeah,
Even if it means like competing against each other.
absolutely.
That's amazing.
It is.
Okay, so let's get into their thoughts about the future of swimrun.
Okay.
Where do they see the sport heading?
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, I was really fascinated by Sabina's passion for like raising the visibility of the sport and getting more sponsors to support the athletes.
It's a common challenge
It
for emerging sports.
They need to like walk this fine line between expanding and keeping what makes it special.
Exactly. How do you grow without losing your essence?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
That is.
Sabina and Alexis have some interesting ideas about that.
I do.
But before we get into those,
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand like what makes this sport so special.
Totally.
We talked about the teamwork, the mental toughness, but what about the physical demands?
Right. Like, what does it actually
Well,
take
Yeah.
to compete?
We know there's swimming and running, but like, what does that actually look like?
We'll get ready for a deep dive
Okay.
because this is not your average triathlon.
Okay.
We're talking open water swims
Okay.
in lakes, oceans, sometimes even fjords.
Wow.
And here's the kicker. They do it all
They do it all.
in their running shoes and wetsuits.
Wait, they swim
They swim
in their running shoes.
in their running shoes
Why?
because the transitions
Between swimming and running?
are lightning fast.
Oh, wow.
So there's no time to change.
Okay.
It's all about efficiency,
Okay.
keeping that momentum going.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it also sounds really uncomfortable.
You get used to it, apparently,
Okay.
but then you've got the running sections,
Right.
which are no walk in the park.
Okay.
We're talking trails, rocky terrain. Sometimes you're scrambling over boulders.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now why they're both so focused on endurance training.
Yeah, this is not just a casual dip in the lake, followed by a jog.
No, it's not.
Swimrun demands a really unique combination of strength, stamina, and mental toughness.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just be a good swimmer or a good runner.
You have to be both.
You have to be both.
And be able to adapt
You have to be adaptable.
whatever comes at you.
Exactly.
It's like Mother Nature designed an obstacle course.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to see why Sabina and Alexis are hooked.
Me too.
It's not just about finishing.
It's about pushing yourself.
Yeah.
Embracing the unexpected.
Doing it together.
Doing it all with your partner
Yes.
by your side.
Okay, I think we have a good foundation here.
Yeah, we've got a sense of who Sabina and Alexis are
Yeah.
and what makes Swimrun so unique.
We've only just scratched the surface,
Yeah,
but it's a good starting point.
it is.
Ready to dive deeper.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's go. So we were talking about what makes Swimrun unique, and I think one thing that really stood out in the interview was their emphasis on community.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a real sense of camaraderie among swim runners.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They mentioned how supportive everyone is even when they're competing against each other.
So it's not just about winning.
No, it's about sharing the experience, pushing each other to be better.
It makes me think that even though swim run is so physically challenging,
Yeah,
it's also really rewarding,
it is.
mentally and emotionally, because of that strong sense of community.
You're all in it together, battling the elements of the course, and you're supporting each other along the way.
And celebrating after with a group of people who really get it,
Exactly.
that's got to be pretty special.
It is.
They also mentioned that the race organizers play a big role
Oh, yeah.
in fostering that community spirit.
Big time.
I remember Sabina talking about those swimrun camps organized by Nicolas Ramirez.
Oh, yeah. Nicholas is amazing.
It sounds like he's really passionate about making the sport more accessible.
He's all about introducing new people to the sport.
And inclusive.
Yeah, creating a welcoming environment for everyone, no matter their experience level.
It's like that grassroots energy that helps a sport like swimrun grow organically.
Totally.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
And talk about Sabina and Alexis's training dynamic.
As a couple?
As a couple, yeah.
Okay.
Because they train together almost all the time.
Almost constantly.
Even when they're preparing for races with different partners.
Right.
How do they make that work?
It seems counterintuitive.
It does.
But it really highlights how well they understand each other's needs.
Yeah.
And their commitment to communication.
Okay.
They both have their individual training plans.
Right.
But they find ways to support each other.
Like doing some sessions together?
Yeah, or just being there for encouragement.
Yeah, on those tough days.
It's a delicate balancing act.
Sure. But training as a couple
Yeah.
can't always be smooth sailing.
Oh, there must be times when those competitive instincts kick in.
Right, and create friction.
Yeah, they've admitted that being direct with each other,
Which is natural in a relationship,
which is natural
can sometimes lead to clashes.
during training.
During training, yeah.
But they have this rule.
What's the rule?
Race frustrations stay on the race course.
I love that.
Yeah. So once they're home,
Back to being a couple.
back to being a supportive couple.
That is so healthy.
It is.
It's like they have this mental separation
Right.
between being athletes and partners.
It shows their maturity and self-awareness.
Totally. And honestly, it's probably good practice for handling conflicts in other areas of life, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like they're constantly working on their communication skills.
Yeah, and their conflict resolution skills.
Which can only benefit their relationship.
in the long run.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of their relationship.
Yeah, this whole partner switching thing.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
It threw me off at first, too.
It did.
But I think it shows their commitment to growth.
Okay.
They see it as a chance to learn from different people,
Right.
adapt to different racing styles,
Okay.
constantly challenge themselves.
It's like they're cross-training within their own sport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that analogy.
And remember how Sabina mentioned that racing with other partners helped her step out of Alexis's shadow and gain confidence in her own abilities?
That's huge.
It is.
Shows how much they trust and support each other.
Even if it means competing against each other.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's circle back to those ideas they had about the future of swimrun.
All right.
We were talking about Sabina's vision for increasing visibility and getting more sponsorships.
Right. Do you think those are realistic goals?
For a sport that's still relatively niche?
I think it depends on how they go about it.
Okay.
If they can showcase the excitement and beauty of the sport.
While staying true to its core values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then I think there's huge potential for growth.
It's that balance we were talking about.
Yeah, it's not just about getting more eyeballs.
Right. It's about attracting the right kind of attention.
The kind that resonates with the spirit of Swimrun.
And Alexis had some interesting thoughts on that, too.
He did. He was a bit more cautious.
Yeah, about professionalization.
Yeah, he's worried about the sport losing its essence.
If it grows too quickly or in the wrong way.
Exactly.
So they need to be strategic.
They do.
It's not just about getting bigger.
It's about getting better.
Okay, so what are some concrete steps they could take?
To achieve that balance.
What specific ideas did they mention?
Well, one idea that Sabina was really excited about was championships with mixed nationalities.
That's interesting.
That would involve pairing athletes from different countries together.
So like a team from 2 different countries.
Exactly.
Wow.
It would create some really interesting dynamics.
And potentially open up the sport to a wider audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would be a way to celebrate the global reach of Swimrun.
And promote cultural exchange.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It would be a true test of their adaptability and teamwork.
And it would make for some incredible viewing experience.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What about Alexis? What were his thoughts?
He was really keen on increasing media coverage.
Okay.
Specifically, he mentioned the UTMB.
The Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc.
Yeah, as a good example.
For those who aren't familiar, can you give us a quick rundown?
Sure, UTMB is an ultramarathon race held in the Alps.
Okay.
And it's gotten super popular,
Yeah.
partly because of the scenery and the challenge,
Right.
but also because of the amazing media coverage.
So they have like live streaming.
Live streaming, professional commentators,
Wow.
even documentaries.
It's become a real media event.
Exactly. It captures people's imaginations.
So Alexis sees that as a model for swimrun.
He does. He believes that showcasing the beauty and drama of the sport
Through high-quality media
Could be a game changer.
Attract more sponsors, participants.
And inspire a whole new generation of athletes.
It's about creating a narrative, a story that people can connect with.
And Swimrun has all the elements.
The landscapes, the challenges, the teamwork.
The human element.
It's a sport that's ripe for storytelling.
Absolutely. And if they can harness the power of media effectively, I think Swimrun could become a global phenomenon.
I'm getting really excited about the possibilities.
It's an exciting time to be a part of the swimrun world.
For sure. It feels like we're on the cusp of something big.
It's a sport that's still evolving, finding its footing.
But with athletes like Sabina and Alexis
leading the charge.
Yeah.
I think the future is very bright.
Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I wanted to touch on something we briefly mentioned earlier.
Right.
The actual physical demands of swimrun.
Right. We talked about the open water the trail running.
And I'm curious about the scale of these races.
Like how far are they actually going?
Yeah, what kind of distances are we talking about?
That's what's so interesting about swimrun.
Okay.
The races come in a variety of formats.
Okay.
You've got shorter sprint distances.
Okay.
And then ultra endurance events.
So there's something for everyone.
Yeah, from newbies to seasoned pros.
Okay, so walk us through it.
Okay, so the shorter races might involve a total distance of around 10 kilometers.
Okay.
With multiple swim and run segments.
So that sounds manageable.
For someone who's reasonably fit.
Yeah.
But then you have the longer races.
Like the Uttala World Championship.
Exactly.
The one in Sweden.
The big one.
Tell us more about that beast.
That race covers a whopping 75 kilometers.
75 kilometers?
65 kilometers of running.
Wow.
And 10 kilometers of swimming.
That's almost 2 marathons.
Back to back.
But with open water swims.
Thrown in for good measure.
No wonder they train so hard.
It takes a special kind of athlete to even attempt that.
And they're tethered together for most of it.
Yeah.
Which adds another layer of complexity.
It's like a constant dance of coordination and communication.
They have to adjust their pace.
Navigate obstacles together.
And support each other when one of them is struggling.
It's true. Partnership.
I'm starting to see why Sabina and Alexis are so passionate about this sport.
It's more than just a race.
It's a shared experience.
A journey of growth and resilience.
And it's constantly evolving, pushing boundaries.
Absolutely.
So are you ready to explore what the future holds for Swimrun?
I am. Let's wrap up this deep dive.
With a glimpse into the possibilities. All right, so let's wrap things up with a look at where Swimrun might be headed.
Yeah, we were just talking about how Swimrun has all these different race distances.
From those short sprints.
To those ultra-endurance races.
Yeah, makes you wonder what's next.
All right, what's next for the sport?
I thought Sabina's idea about championships with mixed nationalities was super interesting.
It was.
How do you think something like that could impact the sport?
Well, I think it could really help grow the sport globally.
Okay.
And create a more diverse community.
Yeah.
Just imagine, athletes from all these different countries.
With different training styles.
Different backgrounds.
Coming together.
To tackle these crazy courses.
Yeah, it would add a whole new level of strategy.
The excitement.
And it would really showcase what swimrun is all about. Yeah. Collaboration.
Adaptability.
Pushing your limit.
Pushing those limits.
Yeah.
And think about it.
Yeah.
Those events could become huge media spectacles.
Totally.
Which would boost the sport's visibility even more.
Speaking of media.
Yeah.
Alexis's suggestion about modeling swimrun coverage after UTMB.
Yeah. That's a really good idea.
It is.
Do you think swimrun has what it takes to capture that same kind of audience?
I think it totally does. Why?
Because it's got everything you need for a good story.
Okay.
The amazing landscapes.
Yeah.
The tough challenges.
Yeah.
The teamwork.
Yeah.
The camaraderie.
Right.
It's naturally cinematic.
Yeah.
And with the right media coverage.
It could really captivate people.
I think so.
It's not just about showing the athleticism, though, right?
No, it's about the human stories, too.
The motivations, the struggles, the triumphs.
Exactly. You have to go beyond just the race results.
Yeah, get into the personal journeys.
The partnerships.
The determination.
That's what makes it relatable.
Yeah, even for people who would never try swimrun themselves.
Right.
I think that's what this interview really highlighted for me.
Yeah, the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
And how sharing those personal stories can connect with people.
And inspire them.
To maybe even give the sport a try.
Well, after this deep dive, I can confidently say that swimrun is way more
than just a quirky endurance sport.
Yeah, it's really a testament to human resilience.
Yeah, the beauty of collaboration.
And that connection we have with nature.
It really challenges you.
Yeah, to redefine your limits.
On so many levels.
So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired,
yeah,
maybe even a little adventurous,
Go explore the world of swimrun.
You might just find your new passion.
Who knows?
Maybe we'll see you out there on a course someday.
That would be awesome.
Well, that concludes our Swimrun deep dive.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We hope you learned something new.
And maybe gained a new appreciation.
For this amazing sport.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep challenging yourselves.
And keep diving deep.
Into the things that make you curious.